views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Oh boy, letting the sports guy take over the show this morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Open, the show that brings the Bronx and the world to you. I'm Bobby C. in for Dr. Bob Lee, and we've got a great show in store for you today. Coming up, we'll preview a conference with a focus on mental health, overcoming barriers, creating opportunities, and much more. Plus, Community School District 7 will kick off their health and wellness series with Zumba, and we'll learn about their workout programs and work in the borough. After that, the United States Handball Association hits the BX, and we'll check out their upcoming tournament at Castle Hill Park. Then we'll have the latest headlines in the world of sports, and later on, we'll hear the unique story of a local filmmaker and producer and the lesson behind her one-woman show, I Am You. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we are now officially open. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Bobby C. in for Bob Lee, and you're watching Open, the live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off on October 10th and 11th, the 2019 In My Mind Conference will take place with a theme this year of overcoming barriers and creating opportunities. Joining us with details on what you can expect, we have Antoine Craigwell, founder of Depressed Black Men, and Mohan Vinjamore, Assistant Professor of Social Work at Lehman College. Welcome, gentlemen. Good morning.
Thank you.
Happy Monday morning.
Thank you. Happy Monday.
So very exciting, I think, to have this kind of venture. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm Antoine Craigwell, and again, thank you for having me on the show. I founded DBGM, which is an organization that is concerned about raising awareness of depression affecting black gay men to prevent their suicide. And so the board decided that we need to expand our outreach and create this conference, which 5 years ago we did, to include and look at mental health affecting LGBTQ people of color, not just in the Bronx, around New York City, not just the United States, but internationally. And so we bring people in for this conference for that.
So why decide to do this? I mean, 5 years ago, still relatively new,
yeah.
But on a very important topic these days.
Well, the issue of mental health has been around since humans have walked the earth. Okay, we've always been plagued, always been affected by mental health. But we have to understand that there's a significant amount of shame and stigma that is attached to mental health. But because of racism and homophobia for LGBTQ people of color, there's an added component. So you got the shame and stigma, and on top of that is the racism and the homophobia that then plays into as further contributing factors to mental health destabilization in people of color communities. And so you've got sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, all of that playing in. And so this is where this conference comes in now because it has a wider reach.
Do you believe it's possible that black men struggle with this more than others do?
Well, according to a Trevor Project report that said that while 4 times more LGBT take their lives than their heterosexual counterparts, LGBT people of color take their lives twice more than their white counterparts. So that means that an LGBT person of color will likely take their life 6 times more than their heterosexual counterparts.
So the stats are really showing what's going on with this, you know. So you believe it's important to have this now, especially here in the Bronx? I mean, how important is this?
Well, very important because I'm a professor of social, assistant professor of social work here at Lehman. And, you know, I think one of the things that I speak to my students about, both undergraduate and graduate students who are all training to become social workers, and many of them who are already practicing in the field, is that one of the most powerful weapons of oppression is silence.
Of course.
And in fact, just last week to my undergraduate students in a policy class, we were talking about various issues, and the first step in addressing any kind of problem is actually seeing a problem and then naming it, giving it a name. And as Antoine was talking about, I think a part of the problem is we don't have necessarily a culture that wants to talk about sexual orientation, wants to talk about gender identity, and that's part of the heterosexism. Part of heterosexist culture is to just kind of assume, like, okay, you know, we're going to assume everybody's heterosexual or everybody is cisgender, and societal institutions and families and cultural norms, everything is structured around that. So I think talking about it is what is the first step.
And this is the way to get people basically talking, right? To have these kind of panel discussions, and you guys start both of the days off with starting points about what you're talking about for the two days.
And it's interesting you should say that, because this conference started as a one-day conference, okay? And at the end of the one-day conference, somebody said that there's so much we need to talk about the mental health for our communities, that we need to have this more than one day. I literally grabbed my head. I'm like, you're not serious. So now we've morphed into a two-day conference. And in terms of its schedule, we have about four different session blocks, and each session block is broken and has breakouts of workshops, panel discussions, standalone presentation. But Professor Vinjamuri here is one of the keynote speakers in the conference. So we've got a series of speakers who are spread throughout both days of the conference. We're looking at Commissioner Angela Fernandez from the New York State Division of Human Rights. We've got Joanne Morn from the AIDS Institute. We've got one of the youngest black gay mayors, Mayor Mark Barbie from Bridgeport, Pennsylvania. We've got Jimani Williams on Friday, the public advocate. We've got Professor Vinjamuri. We've got a 25-year-old young black gay man from Botswana who was the lead plaintiff in a case that overturned same-sex relationships in the country. The High Court ruled in June this year that the criminalization of same-sex relations in Botswana was unconstitutional. So he's coming. He just got his visa last week, and we are so excited.
Lineup.
Exactly. Wow. And he's coming. We were talking earlier that the James Baird Foundation is doing a workshop presentation on food and mental health. How does food affect our mental health? We've got two lawyers, a former prosecutor and a defense counsel, who are talking about LGBTQ people of color and their interaction or their relationship and with the criminal justice system in New York City. That we find, and we need to remember, the young trans Latina who died in Rikers Island, I think about a month ago or thereabout. So we've got a lot of LGBT people of color who are struggling with significant issues, and this conference is helping us do that. But more importantly, I think, is to recognize that it's our 5th anniversary. And if you look at the 4 words, overcoming barriers and creating opportunities, they're just not 4 words for resilience, which each of us possess, the ability to rebound and to continue.
So in closing, message that you would like to send, and then again, send it home with this event that you have coming up, when it is and where people can find you.
Well, I think the message that I would like to send, and this is what actually I'll be talking about at the conference, is many times I think people who've been oppressed and marginalized within their own families, within religious institutions, schools, and within society, one of the messages that they've been told, young people, older people, is that you don't have a future, you don't deserve a future. And that really can destroy a person's mental health in terms of, so I think one of the things that I'll be speaking about is how do we, as social workers, as educators, as researchers, how do we really help people to envision their future in this world. And that part of that is to talk about removing some of the stigma and shame around talking about mental health and addressing mental health.
Getting the conversation started.
Getting the conversation started and helping people to realize that you deserve a future and you deserve to envision your future.
Closing remarks.
And I'm thinking that I will just piggy and jump on what Professor Vinjimori is saying, is that it's continuing the conversation, because the conversations in some respects have already started. But it's to continue the conversation. We want to say to anyone who's coming to this conference, this is a safe space. You're welcome here. Whether you're LGBT or not, whether you're a person of color or not, because we recognize that the issues that you deal with in your life need to be heard, you need to heal from it, and you're welcome to attend the conference.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great stuff today.
Thank
October
you.
10th, 11th, the new school, NYC. We have to take a quick break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Open after this.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch. Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back. On October 2nd, Community School District 7 will kick off their health and wellness series for the 2019-2020 school year. Joining us with a preview of their first Zumba classes and different programs we have, Family Leadership Coordinator Timothy Coleman. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank
Always
you.
good to see you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, so much in the Bronx is always spoken about when it comes to health and basically having an opportunity to get in shape. You know, it's great to be able to talk about this kind of subject, especially with a sports guy like myself. So, you know, tell us a little bit about your work.
So I'm the Family Leadership Coordinator in Community School District 7, which is in the Mott Haven section of the South Bronx.
Okay.
And under the leadership of our Superintendent, Rafael Alvarez, and our Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Nairi Dawn Dixon, we've taken a different approach to parent empowerment. And so one of the things that we try to do on a regular basis is find multiple touch points for wellness. So it's not just physical wellness, it might be mental health, it might be how we started a community garden, right? So this Zumba class really came up because our focus this year is to get the parents to be the ones to actually lead all of the workshops that are presented at our district office. So every week, Monday afternoons from 3:30 to 5:30, Wednesday mornings from 9:30 to 11:30, we do different types of workshops to engage our community. We oversee 24 schools that are 3K to 8th grade. Represents about 15,000 families in the South Bronx. So last year, we started the wellness push in a very concentrated way. We partnered with a couple of community organizations, and we started our very first year-round community garden which is actually in the back parking lot of our district office. The parents got a chance to choose the types of vegetables and herbs. We taught them how to take care of the garden. They harvest all of the herbs and vegetables, and then we do cooking classes on a weekly basis. So that gives us a chance to study folklore. That gives folks a chance to feel a true sense of community. And it also teaches folks how simple it is to substitute the bad things we normally eat with the good things that we now can grow and understand, because these are all experiential types of learning opportunities for the families. So the Zumba class is going to be taught by one of our parents from PSMS 31 over in Concourse Village. And so her name is Ms. Danielle Poole. So we put out a big pitch last year and said, hey, listen, you know, instead of hearing me, Timothy, stand here and lead all these workshops and talk incessantly about all these different things, why don't we just kind of tap into all of the great talent that we have already that's kind of undiscovered. And you'd be surprised, parents, when they're given an opportunity and they're given the support to excel, they rise to the occasion. And we're using that to help change the narrative of the South Bronx. Ms. Poole decided, hey, listen, I want to do a Zumba class the first Wednesday of every month. And I was like, you know, here in the district office, that's pretty mind-boggling, because everybody comes to the district to complain about something, right? We also have in our district office, floors 2 and 3 are for suspension, hearing. So everything from the public perception of where we are could potentially be very negative, but we are changing that on a regular basis. So it's not just Zumba, which, you know, I'm excited to get in there and try. I mean, I think I'm going to make a total fool of myself, but that's okay. You know, we're going to get in there and do it. We've done smoothie and paint classes, right, where we just buy a bunch of fresh vegetables, a bunch of fresh fruits, whatever. Parents come in and they lead the classes. We have wonderful artists.
Timothy, what a wonderful idea to be able to bring communities together and have families working together. So, you know, obviously the goal of what you're doing is something different, but the actual process for doing it is also having change, having impact.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. One of the biggest opportunities that we've received in District 7 is through the My Brother's Keeper Family Challenge Grant. And so we use that. It has multiple goals, but goal number 6 is to engage the community in a respectful and trustful manner. And so we've taken the opportunity of having this extra funding, which we don't even have a budget at the district. Most of the folks that come to lead workshops, they're doing it for free. So, you know, having an opportunity to bring in, you know, a more varied type of menu of services for the families. I mean, we're having at least between 20 to 50 people per session show up for these workshops.
Unbelievable.
So when you talk empowerment, I mean, you have to really look at not only the demographics of what currently exists in the South Bronx, but what's the macro vision? Where is it that you're really trying to take the families? And in all honesty, I think it really starts with them knowing that they can trust you, and them knowing that you're going to keep your word, because your word is all you have in the community, and knowing that they're going to be supported no matter what it is they seek to do.
You know, Timothy, we talked about it in the first segment too, you know, finding something as a vehicle for change and basically starting the conversation, getting people involved.
That's right.
Amazing what you guys have been able to do so far. So you talk a little bit about what you've done. Tell us a little bit more about what's coming up.
Yeah, so this year, you know, we survey our parents on a regular basis. And so through a new round of My Brother's Keeper funding that'll be active as of November, we're bringing our community members, they've requested American Sign Language. They've requested book clubs on specific books. We have one of our own published authors from within Community School District 7 who is going to lead a workshop. She wrote a book called Money Mike Wants a Brand New Bike. It's about youth and entrepreneurship. Her son, as a brief synopsis, right, her son wanted a bike. He knew that the family couldn't really afford it. So it's about all of the different types of jobs that he took along the way to help raise the money to get his own bike. So she's going to come in and do a guest an artist in residence session with that. And we've done Tai Chi, yoga, wellness. We've also, if I could squeeze this in, we've allowed our parents to turn themselves into superheroes. We partnered with a company.
Most parents are. Most good parents
They
are.
are. They really, really are, especially mine, Reverend Don and Reverend Ann Coleman of Lincoln, Nebraska. Shout out to Mom and Dad. Parents are heroes, but here's an opportunity for a parent to work with their child at the district and create a superhero whose specific power is to combat a deficiency that they see in their local community. And so what we have found is that we call our comic book the Council of Seven. All right, and so any parent that comes,
Going to be a
they're-
movie soon, right?
Oh, listen, we are just going to
Avengers.
bust this thing out. So listen, actually going along with that, we started that comic book over the summer. So it's a published book right now. You can find it on our website. But we're doing, starting in January, anime classes. So all of those parents that participated in the comic book are now going to be able to animate those characters and tell just one piece of their backstory. And when you talk about bringing the community together, when you talk about educating children and parents simultaneously and putting them in an opportunity to learn and grow and experience education at the same time, District 7 is way ahead of the game.
Timothy, final words, and I'm assuming anyone can attend, right? Because you have
Absolutely.
all this stuff that everyone should be involved
It's open
to.
to the community, whichever community you belong to. You can find us on Eventbrite when you look up at CSD7BX. Register, join us, come with positivity, joy, family, and we love to have you.
Sharp dressed and
right.
sharp message this
Thanks, man.
morning. Great
Thank
stuff.
you.
Thank you, Timothy. We'll have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have more open, so stay with us.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Bobby C. On October 5th, the U.S. Handball Association will hit the courts at Castle Hill Playground for a handball tournament. Joining us with a preview, we have promoter Justin Rodriguez. Welcome to the show, Justin.
How you doing, Bobby?
Great to have you on this morning.
I appreciate it.
So I have covered handball. It is an amazing sport, especially right here in the Bronx. First, tell us, especially for those that don't know much about the sport, tell us a little bit about the sport.
Well, handball, you only need a ball and a wall. Out here in New York City, there's handball courts almost on every corner, and that's including the 5 boroughs and Long Island. And it's just something that a lot of kids get into as an outlet, and then they find the competitive side of it, and they start realizing there's tournaments, and sooner or later you become an A player, and it's everything that you wanted.
So a simple sport and an organization that's promoting it. Tell us a little bit about the association.
So USHA, which is the United States Handball Association, is probably the biggest handball association within the United States. They are affiliated with this specific tournament. We are teaming up with multiple organizations, including local business owners, and promoting the sport. And you know, they have a rule book that they follow with 1 wall and 4 wall. There's 3 wall, there's big ball, there's small ball. There's so much to handball that a lot of people don't know.
And you see it, I mean, I know for me, having grown up here in the Bronx, Castle Hill, but also Orchard Beach, really all around the borough, and a sport that's really played by both young and old.
Yeah, absolutely. There are children as young as, I mean, I see kids playing at like 7 years old. Entering into tournaments around 10. It's in PSAL. It's in our public school system. And then when you get outside of high school, you could start entering into these other. You can enter them as juniors, but when you get out of high school, you could start entering them with the potential to win some money.
So give the viewers at home a little more about the specific event coming up here in Castle Hill in October.
Okay, so October 5th, 2019, we're hosting a first annual Players Cup Invitational Tournament. We are inviting 16 of the top players within the nation to compete.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's the best of the best. We also included a female bracket, so it's going to be 4 female open players, which means they're A players. I mean, they can be any players, A, B, or C. So as far as the male division, it's going to be 16 top singles players playing for the first annual Players Cup. First place gets a trophy and some cash.
So who can attend? I mean, I'm like our
It
last
is
segment,
open to the
everyone,
public.
right?
We
That's
want
awesome.
we want new eyes. You know, with this sport, it's so big to the people that are in it. But for a lot of people, especially in New York City, you walk by a handball court and it's extracurricular activity, and to us, it's an actual sport. It's what we love to do. So we want new eyes. We want new sponsors. We want new people playing. We want to see a shift in what we call the new top players and move on to the young kids coming up and becoming top players.
So you have this amazing event. What do you expect people to get from this?
This is exposure at its highest. We, for the first time within the handball community, have put together multiple different organizations. I'll give you just a list of few. USHA, we have SAHA, which is the St. Albans Handball Association, Castle Hill, which they were playing at Castle Hill, and they have their own organization. The Buddha Memorial, which is one of the biggest tournaments every year in July in Coney Island. They're involved with this. Local businesses, Sky Testing, State Farm, Think Flyers, Zariga Indoors. We all got together for this event. This is the first of its kind, invitational. We want people to see where we can bring this sport.
You know, I think it's unfortunate because when I was growing up, I played stickball, we played stoop ball. You know, there were so many games that were played in the park, at the playground, that you don't see anymore. So, you know, kids today are really stuck usually inside playing video games.
Yeah.
It tends to be the trend. You know, why is it important to have this message about making sure that the youth, especially, stop that kind of trend and get out and play games like this?
I mean, handball, there's so much to it. When you watch it, you think it's simple. But when you play it, it's so much harder. You got to develop hand-eye coordination. You have to... Athleticism. I mean, there's so much thinking. You want to anticipate what your opponent's about to do. It's like chess. It's like basketball going back and forth. It's like tennis. It's a mixture of so many things, and you only need a ball and a wall. You don't have to go to your parents and worry about they can't afford the new glove for you or a new bat or a brand new basketball. It's a $2 ball and the wall that's already there. It's just something that we need to start promoting, bringing these kids up, of course, after school, making sure that they do good in school first. But I tell people with handball, one of the best parts is that there's no ceiling to your game. Every time you get on that court, you get better. There's nothing that's stopping you from continuing to grow.
So you mentioned all these top-ranked players. Is there one or two that you're like, you know, these are the stars of the game?
Of course. There's Timothy Gonzalez, Timbo, we call him. He is, I believe he's from the Bronx. His home court.
We featured him on the show.
Yeah, Timbo he was just in Vegas literally yesterday and won 3 out of 4 events. Three out of the 4 he played in. The last one, you know, Vegas is 100 degrees, so he overheated, you know, muscles started cramping. He probably would have won that too. He would have went 4 for 4
At one
and
point,
slammed.
he was a Red Bull athlete too.
Yes, I believe he still is, yeah. So he's still a Red Bull athlete. Competing for his top spot is Kadeem Bush. Taiwan Cook won Big Blue Ballers. Gustavo, or we call him Tavo Ruiz. He won the Gladiator tournament. There is just so many people out there right now that want that #1 spot, but Timbo still got it.
UShandball.org and Twitter, Facebook too, correct?
Correct.
So final words.
Final words, this Saturday, October 5th, if you are free and available, head over to Junior high school 127, which we refer to as Castle Hill, and watch the top competitors compete.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. You did a great job.
Thank you for
I love
having me.
handball. Such a great sport.
Well,
I think it's very underrated. People really have to get involved, watch it, see it, and play it.
And play it to see how hard it is.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We have to take a quick break, but coming up, I'll have the latest headlines in the world of sports. We begin our look at sports with the god that is Daniel Jones. Okay, he's not perfect, but his record is Jones finished 23 of 31 for 225 yards with a touchdown pass and 2 interceptions. It wasn't perfect. He threw those 2 interceptions on consecutive passes in the second quarter, but bounced back and looked like the more advanced of the 2 quarterbacks, the rookies, as Washington decided to turn to Dwayne Haskins, the same QB that shook his head at the draft when the Duke signal caller was taken before him by the G-Man. Jones led the Giants down the field for a field goal before halftime, immediately after those 2 INTs. In the end, Jones sparked another win. Final score, Giants 24, Washington Redskins 3. We go inside the locker room for more.
It certainly came, and I don't know. I think when you look at the game, I think it was a good team win. You know, I think the defense stepped up and made a number of plays that really helped us out. We were able to score some points early, but like last week, a lot to learn. But like any game, there's going to be adversity, it'll be ups and downs. So I thought we handled it well. It was exciting. I think, just to run out here for the first time and be in front of these fans, be in front of the crowd was a lot of fun. I think we had a lot of fun. A lot of fun to win.
The 2-2 Giants moved the ball consistently until they shut it down with a big lead late. With Jones's poise and ability to make plays with his legs on full display, Jones also benefited from a strong performance by backup running back Wayne Gallman, who finished with 118 total yards and 2 scores, filling in for the injured Saquon Barkley. Jones was the clear winner in the matchup against Haskins. He's also become the clear choice to continue to start under center for the Giants. Big Blue hosts Minnesota next Sunday at 1 p.m. Don't look now, but the Giants may indeed be on a roll, folks. The Giants get Golden Tate back from his 4-game suspension for violating the league's policy on performance-enhancing substances. Should be a big boost. While away from the team, Tate remained in shape by training in California alongside Melvin Gordon. Meanwhile, Gang Green had the bye week this past weekend. The Jets, still searching for their first win of the season, return to action Sunday in Philadelphia. That's also a 1 p.m. kickoff. Tonight's Monday Night Football matchup features the Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8:15. Both teams are 0-3. Somebody has to get a win in Pittsburgh tonight. The NHL regular season begins on Thursday. The Rangers host the Winnipeg Jets that night, while the New Jersey Devils will host the Jets the next night. The Islanders open on Friday, hosting the Washington Capitals. The NBA preseason is nearly on tap, too. NBA practice camps opened this past weekend. Our BronxNet cameras headed out to Brooklyn to catch up with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and the new-look Brooklyn Nets. Check this out. Roll them.
I was doing a lot of YouTube research on like Kenny Atkinson and watching interviews and see how he talked after games and stuff, and I really liked his approach to his craft as a coach, and that's what drew me in pretty quickly. I didn't really do too much research on other coaches, so I guess he always had the leg up, but you know, once I started to get comfortable with how he, you know, approaches his craft, it started to make me feel at ease. Even though I never even had a conversation with him, I could just see it through YouTube and through the clips that he was pretty genuine about the game. And you know, obviously the talks with Kyrie and then watching the team and knowing Karis and all of this stuff kind of combined at once. And obviously being in the East Coast again was something I was really excited about, playing most of my basketball career either in like Midwest or West Coast, so I was excited about being at least a few hours from home. So all that stuff played a factor, and I thought about it all, and you know, but basketball was probably the main factor.
Obviously, I've known Kevin since high school, and Kai and I's relationship developed stronger whenever we played in 16, and we won it together. So we've talked about this for a long time, and I feel like the universe kind of put it there for us to take advantage of it, and we were all free agents at the same time, so it kind of just worked itself out, and we're really excited about this opportunity.
We have a lot of new parts on the team. We have a lot of new players, so I feel like meshing and getting our chemistry together is at the top of that list.
You know, every year is a team to beat, team you think is going to win. But, you know, just like last year, Toronto came out of nowhere, Milwaukee came out of nowhere after losing in the first round the previous year to be a finals contender. So each year I think teams are getting better and guys are improving, and also free agency, half of the league was free agents. So obviously there's going to be a landscape change when it comes to the dynamics of the league. So I just think the business of basketball is booming.
So cool, so exciting. Nets may have to go the entire season without KD, though, but the team certainly has a plan, and it certainly looks bright. The Los Angeles Clippers also have two new superstars in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They will challenge Anthony Davis and LeBron James for supremacy of the City of Angels. But for at least the beginning of the year, the Clippers will have to do so without George. On Sunday, George announced that he will not participate in the NBA's preseason as he recovers from surgery on his two shoulders. His rehab period will also last throughout the beginning of the regular season. Ouch, he could be back sometime in November. In baseball, the Bronx Bombers wrapped up their regular season in defeat on Sunday. The Texas Rangers closed out their ballpark in Arlington with a 6-1 win. Former Yankee Lance Lynn struck out 10, getting his career-high 16th win as Texas closed out the 26th and final season at that ballpark against the AL East champion Yanks. On the bright side, Aaron Judge hit his 27th home run of the season. New York, which plays Minnesota in the division series starting Friday night in the Bronx, went 103-59, an improvement of 3 wins from last year. Important to note here, folks, the 2009 Yankees also went 103-59. That's the last time they won the World Series, by the way. The MLB playoffs get underway tomorrow. First game of the postseason is the National League wildcard game between the red-hot Milwaukee Brewers and the Washington Nationals. No postseason for the Amazons, but rookie sensation Pete Alonso gave fans plenty to cheer about this weekend in Flushing. The Polar Bear hit his 53rd home run of the season Saturday night, breaking the MLB rookie record that Yankee star Aaron Judge had set in 2017. Alonso launched a 93-mile-per-hour fastball on a 1-2 count just to the right of straightaway center field. The solo shot gave New York a 3-0 lead in the third inning, which would hold as the final score. As that 415-foot drive landed in the seats, Alonso raised both arms in triumph while running to first base. Mets teammates came out of the dugout to congratulate him as he rounded the bases, and the crowd of 32,210 at Citi Field gave a standing O. Nice moment for Alonso and the Mets. Time for some quick hitters from around the world of sports in motor racing. Formula One leader Lewis Hamilton won the Russian Grand Prix in a surprise Mercedes 1-2 on Sunday after Ferrari tripped over team orders and were undone by a virtual safety car they triggered. After wrecking while in the lead and then falling back to 37th with 44 laps to go, Chase Elliott roared back to win Sunday's race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, ending the first round of the NASCAR Cup playoffs with the elimination of 4 drivers from further advancement. It was Elliott's 3rd win of the season and 6th of his Cup career. Back on the baseball diamond, Joe Maddon is out in Chicago, and the Cubs have 2 leading candidates to fill the vacant managerial spot. Former Cubs catcher David Ross, who is considered a leading candidate to succeed Maddon as the team's manager, both seen there, was asked during Sunday's Baseball Tonight show if he'd be interested in the job if the Cubs call. He replied, "I think it's one of the best jobs in baseball," said Ross, who currently works as an analyst for ESPN. "I've got a lot of close ties with those guys. I think the interest would be there. I think my heart is drawn to that dugout a little bit." Former Yankee manager Joe Girardi, who also was a catcher for the Cubs during his career, could be another top candidate to fill the job. Girardi grew up in Illinois, was drafted by the Cubs, and had 2 stints at Wrigley. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list for how Daniel Jones has restored hope in the land of Big Blue. Call it beginner's luck. Call it just 2 games. Whatever you want to call it. As tough as it might be for Eli supporters, Daniel Jones has the Giants trending in the right direction. 2 straight wins can certainly do that, especially with the way the Giants dominated the Washington Redskins on Sunday. But the Giants have had winning streaks before, even during the last 7 most miserable seasons. There's much more to it than just a couple of wins that helped them to a 2-2 record. The difference this time is all about Daniel Jones. Just 2 games into his tenure as the Giants' starting quarterback, there is no denying the spark that the 22-year-old has provided. And it wasn't just with the fans, who were starved for something new and who gave the kid a loud ovation when he took the field for his home debut yesterday. It's with the organization and his teammates, too. They can't stop raving about his ability, his leadership, and his demeanor. And the theme always seems to be the same, whether it's one play, one game, or one entire season. They look at Jones and believe he gives them a chance to win. The Giants, folks, they now have hope. Sometimes that's a result of change in life. It may not say anything about Eli or even future Hall of Famer Joe Maddon in Chicago, who led the team to a World Series win in 2016. Change can be good. Change can be vital. Daniel Jones is the right man at the right time. It remains to be seen if he'll be that guy long term, but for now, Jones and the Giants have something brewing at the Meadowlands. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C. Stay with us. More Open back after this.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
I love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Welcome back to Open. Our next guest is a filmmaker as well as a public access producer right here at BronxNet. And she joins us today for a look at her recent project, her film I Am You, and the meaning behind it. So we welcome Minister Kat, also known as Kitty Rose, to the show. Kitty Rose.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Looking great. Love the earrings.
Thank you.
So great to have you on the show.
I'm so glad to be back, and I get you as the host
I'm
today.
filling in.
Wow.
Just a pinch hit Bob is what it is.
I know. I'm excited.
Sports reference.
Let's see what you can do.
All right. Sounds good to me. So, obviously, BronxNet, of course, we'll start there.
Yes.
Is an important place for you, a special place,
my
because you
home.
have a lot going on here. So tell us a little bit first about the project and also what you do here at BronxNet.
Okay. Well, I am one of your community producers, community public access producers, and my show is called Natural Sessions. I come on late night because, you know, I'm a little raunchy, a little bit.
Raunchy's good.
You need a little bit of that, you know what I'm saying? But so I've been doing that now here at BronxNet, going into my 4th season that starts this fall. But now, because of my experience and the tools that I've learned at BronxNet, I'm now producing a one-woman show called I Am You, which is a comedic satire monologue.
Okay.
So early part of this year, I was promoting my film, and now, you know, as we evolve as artists, this is the next project I'm now doing.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be difficult to do a one-woman show, but if it's done well,
okay,
of course it's going to be really good. So talk a little bit about the creative process.
The creative process is different because I'm usually behind the scenes. Even with hosting my own talk show, I let the guest, you know, be the star, and I'm just there to facilitate. But, you know, I'm producing that, I'm editing that, I'm doing the locations. That is all, again, behind the scenes. So being now in front of the camera by myself, just with the audience, no person to kind of feed off of, is exciting, a little nervous, but I was able to do it. And we had our debut show August 9th to a full house, and the feedback was awesome. So I think, you know, when you are listening to your calling and you embrace what your purpose is, then whatever seems difficult really isn't, because you're just doing what you're supposed to do. So even though I didn't know that I was going to eventually end up, on the stage myself, I believe that the Creator was preparing me for it. So when I was on it, I'm ready. Like, where's the camera? Let's do it.
So you got a great personality.
Thank you.
What inspires you?
What inspires me? Community. And I know that's abroad, but I say community because, especially during this time right now, this climate, we're coming on 2020, election, global warming, we want to do change on a global, on a mass level. But I find that we can't do change if we don't fix or we don't at least deal with the things on an intimate level. And I don't ever see anyone doing that. Everyone's always talking about what we could do as a mass, you know, but never really, like, what does Catherine, what does Bobby, what do we individually have to do? So I feel like since we all play our part, that's my part. That's my part as a sacrificial lamb, to kind of show my community what it looks like to be accountable, deal with your stuff, know that it's okay, and move through, because with the Creator's blessings, you could really have a happy life while you're here on this plane. And in 45 years, I go through the same ups and downs that everyone else goes through, but for the most part, I have a good life. I got great children, I got nice folks, I got great homes that I can do my business at and be self-employed for myself for all of these years. And I truly believe that's because I listen, I follow, I heed, and I apply those lessons that I'm learning to my life, where I can be an example and show others that this is what it takes.
That's what I always love the most about BronxNet. I mean, there's so much creativity here in the Bronx, and we get a chance to showcase it here on our shows.
Yes.
So what do you want people to know specifically about this one project, and then explain the title, I Am You?
Well, I Am You is really as simple as that. I am you, because I really feel like we're reflections of each other. There's so much we're caught up in race, in cultures that separate and divide us. But when we really sit and have these one-on-one conversations, we see that we're really different, but the same. So I'm using, again, myself as a sacrificial lamb to kind of show that I'm you. I'm going through the same thing you're going through. We go through it. It's not that serious. We can all get through it and embrace the process as we go through it. So what I want folks to know is I want them to come to my next show, which is October 18th at the Producers Club. Because the one thing also that I would love for the audience to know is that in producing the television show that I do weekly, producing a one-woman show and off-Broadway on 44th between 8th and 9th is no easy task, but I'm doing it. And I want folks to join me in this because no one is successful by themselves. So in order for me to be successful, which is a reflection of you and I and us, I need the community to come and support and buy a ticket.
Tremendous stuff, tremendous stuff. Final words.
Yo, final words. Watch BronxNet. And I don't know,
That's a
watch
good
BronxNet.
place.
Because
And come to the show.
And come to the show because you'll find Kitty Rose after 11 on Natural Sessions and I Am You at the Producers Club October 18th.
Thank you so much, darling, for coming on.
Thank you. Good
Tremendous
job,
stuff.
Bobby.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you.
We have to take a quick break. More open right after this.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Bobby C. We weren't sure we'd have time for it this morning, but a special segment right here on BronxNet's Open on October 26th. Make It Fun NYC will hold Jump to Burn Bronx. Joining us with a preview of this event and some jump rope tips, we have Bernadette Henry. Thank you so much for coming on. We're excited to have some extra time in the show to talk about this stuff today.
I'm excited as well.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the project.
Okay, well, Jump to Make It Fun NYC, I make jump rope and exercise as a whole more fun and exciting for anyone looking to live a healthy and active lifestyle. And I take something as simple as jump rope for people busy working moms or anyone else that don't have time to work out. All it takes is 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is just as effective as a 30-minute jog on a treadmill.
Awesome. Now, I had a trainer at one point, and I told people many times that have asked me for some input on tips. It actually is probably the #1 thing you could do to try to burn fat would be jumping rope, because people probably don't realize how difficult jumping rope can be, especially if you do it for an extended period of time. We're talking about 10 minutes. That's really like running a marathon sometimes. That's how it feels. You know, what inspires you to do this stuff? I mean, I feel like the message of today's show has really been about trying to have vehicles for change when it comes to these platforms here in the Bronx. I would think that the message is probably similar here.
Yes, and I believe a lot of moms, especially busy working moms, they don't have time to go to the gym. They have children, they have jobs, they have families to maintain, and sometimes just getting to a gym could be extremely difficult. So doing something like going in your hallway or going outside to do a 10-minute jump rope workout, which I would say do 10 sets of 100 jumps, and that would definitely be equivalent to 10 minutes.
So how'd you come up with the name?
Jump to Burn. Well, my name is Bernadette,
Okay.
so I took that B-E-R-N and
All
turned
right,
it to
cool.
B-U-R-N because jump rope within an hour you can burn 700 to 1,000 calories.
700 to 1,000
Yes.
calories. So you can eat all the pizza you want and then do the jump
Not
to
when
burn.
you get 30.
So you're going to show us some of these moves here?
Yes, I am.
All right, that works. Let's check these out.
Okay, got it. Cool.
See, you knew that's how the sports guys got to close out the show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, impressive
Thank
stuff.
you so much.
So before we let you go today, tell us a little bit more specifically about the event, because we want people to be involved here.
Yes, the class will be
Take
held.
a breath, too, if you can.
What that jump rope is.
I know, yeah, it was
The best conditioning tool out there, actually. So the event will be held at 74 Van Cortlandt Avenue in the Bronx. I have the information.
Saturday, October 26th. I'm going to help you out a little bit, Burnett.
Yes.
Yep. 2 to 3:30, 74 Van Cortlandt Park. And Facebook, Make It Fun NYC.
Yes.
And, of course, you got the website, too.
Yes.
In closing, final thoughts about why jump rope is really the perfect thing to be doing these days.
Jump rope is the perfect thing to do because it's fun, it's innovative, it's different. If you see me, I was actually smiling, and you could just do so many different things with the jump rope.
Awesome stuff. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Excited for people to come out and get a chance to be involved in this. And again, Jump to Burn Bronx.
Yes.
Coming up in October.
Yes.
Thank you, Bernadette.
You're welcome. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for coming on.
You're
Great
welcome.
stuff.
No problem. Thank
Really
you so
wonderful.
much.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have on today's show. I'd like to thank our guests for joining us. And for you tuning in, you can catch the Recablecast tonight at 5 and 10 p.m. and watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You can tune in Wednesday for an all-new episode with Darren Hyman. We'll see you next time right here on Open.